the mind chatters away a lot of the time anyway. Even very advanced spiritual teachers talk about how the mind can appear to have a mind of its own. It just talks about whatever it chatters away. It goes on all kinds of little journeys. And there is a question as to how much attention you want to pay that. We tend to think that I am my mind, and I am my body, and I am my emotions. But if you observe very clearly, you'll notice that you can observe your mind, and you can observe your body, and you can observe your emotions or your feelings. So, who are you? And so what we can do is we can make a decision where we want to locate our attention. Now, this really means you need to learn about how to sense, how to be this much more expanded being. Very often the way we've grown up, we're used to kind of feeling everything through our mind and through our body. It's almost like we don't realize there's more to us than that. But people who are highly sensitive know anyway that there's much more than that. And when you learn about energy, you realize that you can feel, you can sense more than what's going on in your mind and your body. You start to become much more aware of all the information, the subtle information that sometimes that other people send you, that's in any place and that's all around you. It's not very easy to describe, but it's just something that becomes stronger and stronger and will become more and more your language. So when I'm sitting with a client, for example, and I'm listening to them, I'm listening more with my energy than I'm listening with my ears. If somebody comes up to me and says, and we say hi, and we say, how are you? And they say, oh, I'm really great. But I don't listen so much to the words. I listen to what their energy is telling me. And their words might be, I'm really great. Their energy might be saying something completely different. When I'm having a longer conversation, which is what's happening more of the time, and we're talking about all kinds of things, I'm just constantly listening to the energy. And there are a few things I listen for, especially. One is I listen for the resonance. So does this energy feel good? Does it feel very resonant? Does it feel aligned with that person and what that person really wants and with the higher truth? Or does it feel unaligned? When it feels aligned, you can sense that. It's not so much in your body, though your body is kind of a part of it. For me, it's bigger. I sense it with my energy. That's the best way to describe it. And I can sense very easily when it's out of alignment. And for sure you can too, because you know when somebody's saying something that isn't really them, that isn't really true. And you can sense, I can sense whether we're going in the right direction or not. I can sense sometimes, that there's more, that there's stuff that's not being said. There are all kinds of things. And then, of course, when you're very open to that kind of sensing, you start to receive information. And I say something like, well, I think this might be going on. It's just information I receive. And the more you listen to your energy, the more you learn to trust the information you receive, because it is just so remarkable how often it proves to be correct. So what I'm doing is listening. And when I say listening, that's with a very loose expression. It's a kind of energy listening. And it feels to me like there's this whole being that I am, essentially. Maybe that's my consciousness, my energy field. And it feels to me like I'm using all of that to listen, not with my ears only, my ears and my mind and my eyes are only doing a tiny part of the job. They are actively engaged. They're extremely valuable, but they're only doing a part of the job. So it's funny because I listen to somebody's words and then I listen to their energy, and I'm looking to see the alignment between the words and the energy. Because when we have alignment, when the energy and the words really match up with each other, they really work together, then you're very powerful. That's where you need to be able to have the experience of manifesting what you want. You have this alignment between what you're saying, what you're thinking, and your energy. But when we're doing something like a relaxation, or actually at any time in your life, you can decide what it is that you're tuning into. So tuning in is more of an energetic experience than a mental experience. So when we're leading when I'm leading these energy activations, for example, I'm tuning in to the topic and to the energy that's being delivered to me to talk about that topic. Sometimes my mind, like I said, I thought of you, Jeremy. So sometimes something will come into my mind consciously, or I'll even have a thought about something that I need to do later today during the activation. But I pay it so little attention that it doesn't really take up any bandwidth within me at all. It's simply something that happens because my mind does that kind of thing. But it doesn't distract my attention because my attention is being paid somewhere else. And it's being paid to the topic and to the experience and to the energy and all of that. And of course, that's one of the things about being human, is that we do have this ability to pay attention to different things. It's almost like we can split ourselves. I don't really want to encourage that. What I'm encouraging is that you have the ability to make a decision where you want to locate your attention, and to understand that that's something that you do actually not with your mind. You can get your mind to follow, and speech and listening with the ears and looking with the eyes and thinking with the mind. So these, what we normally think of as the very human senses and experiences, they're like just the edge of that experience. So you can use them to focus your attention. So if you're with somebody, you're paying attention with your energy, but if you listen with your ears and you look with your eyes, and you're generally very physically present as well, you have a very connected experience. You may have come across some people who are energy people. I have a friend, and when we talk, a lot of the time he's sort of tuning into the energy, and he actually does, because he sees energy a lot, he's not looking with his eyes. So it looks like he's not really concentrating, or he's kind of somewhere else. It's a slightly weird experience. So for me, I like to be able to bring myself all together, so I can be fully physically present with my eyes, my ears, my body, all of that. And yet at the same time, I can be tuning into the energy, into the vibration or the resonance of the situation. And then you have a very aligned experience. But if your mind does go off and do its own thing, if you know that you can stay very present to the situation, present to the energy, which is the key information, that's where the power is. And funnily enough, it becomes a lot easier then to bring your attention back to what you want to, because you're simply not putting so much power into the wanderings of your mind. And then when you really need to express something, for example, you bring your mind and your voice and your listening, you bring that all together, very, very focused, everything aligned. And that is incredibly powerful. So I often say that when we're talking, when I'm having a conversation, that's all my private sessions are conversations. I often say that when we're having this conversation, we're just talking things into existence, because we become so aligned as we talk, because we talk about interesting things. And so our mind engages in the topic, and our ears are engaged, and our eyes are, everything is awake and alive and engaged with the same thing. And then that is a very creative process. What you say when you're aligned with your energy, or aligned and aligned with your soul, what you say becomes true. What's difficult is when the thoughts or the messages, it's more the energy that's held in your subconscious, is not aligned with all of that. So there's this story running under the surface that says, this is never going to happen. I can't do that. There's no way. All these kinds of sabotaging messages. Then you don't have an alignment. Then it's like you have an aspect of your mind that's going off in a completely different direction. And when we do the open your heart work that some of you have done, that's where we're dealing with all those voices. Because in a way, there are all these different personalities that you've picked up, all these patterns that you've picked up from different people through your life. And especially where you've been very hurt by somebody, or you've had to kind of split yourself into different people in order to be able to handle situations, you end up with all these different voices in your head. And when you learn how to open your heart, so how to heal those times when you split yourself up into different people, you have the experience that you become more and more one person, and you don't feel that you have so many different voices that are telling you different things and sabotaging whatever it is that you want to do. So if you want to know more about that, I have a course. It's an online course called Open Your Heart, and you use it to heal relationships that have hurt you. It's like a 12-step program, not like an Alcoholics Anonymous program, but it gives you 12 steps to take you through that healing process. And it's simple, it's very powerful, it's quite challenging, it's quite confronting, because it really pushes you to take 100% responsibility. But it does allow you to quieten down those voices that chatter away, especially the ones that tend to sabotage you or tend to make you feel that you're very split. But that general mind chatter is just something that happens anyway. And if you try to control it too much, what you'll often find is that your mind will chatter even more. So what I've found is that if I can build that ability to choose where I pay attention, and then when I need my mind, it will tend to follow. I think of the mind as something that's in its right place when it's following, not when it's leading. But we've been trained to use our mind to lead, and everything goes wrong then. The mind has no ability to discern truth. It is not where we discern truth. So if you use your mind to lead, if you use your mind as the prime, the prime activity in making a decision, you will almost always make a bad or an unwise decision. Your mind does not have the ability to discern truth. It is not what it does. Your energy your soul. There are other parts of you, your heart. This is the language we give. I think it's much more sophisticated than that. But those subtle parts of our existence, that's where we discern truth. When we sense the resonance of what's being said or of a situation, that's where we're using our ability to discern truth. The mind can then pick up whatever we discern and put words around it. But the mind cannot make that decision about what's true and what's not true. It absolutely has no ability to do that. That may seem rather strange and difficult to get a grip on. The further you go with this kind of work, the more you see that it's true. And that's why you don't pay so much attention to it. But what you can do is use it to put things into words, to crystallize, because the energy is so rich and gives you so much information. You can use the mind to crystallize and to communicate what you're paying attention to in this moment and to share it with another human being. And especially it's used, what the mind crystallizes in the attention is, that's a way that we can kind of focus our attention in order to create. So the mind is really powerful in this creative process, but it needs to follow the energy and the attention and the awareness, not lead it. And then you'll find yourself having a very powerful experience. So in the activations, I'm teaching you how to be much more sensitive with your energy, how to feel all of this. And then you'll see that your mind naturally will more and more find its rightful place, which is as a follower, not as a leader.